Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. Shout out to the whole LDBC. If you like this video, please feel free to like it, and if you want to subscribe to the page, go ahead. So, you know, this is another social issue video, and I'll give you some, probably two boxing videos after this one, but I'm just gonna touch on this, right now. So I was streaming down on my Instagram feed, and someone posted a video in which, was pretty disturbing to me, to see this actually take place. It wasn't a video, actually, it was an article, really, and it was really disturbing for me to know that this takes place. I understood that, sex tourism in West Africa is a common thing. I've seen it with my own eyes play out before. But what I didn't know is that in the Gambia especially, we're getting so desperate that, what we're doing now is we're sending we're basically exploiting our kids to the point where Europeans, notably British, are coming over and using children as sexual toys, basically. And when I say children, I mean 7 to 8 years old. And these are grown people, and most of them are senior citizens who are doing this. And it was in a United Kingdom article that I read this thing. And so as I read it, I kind of just really, was number one, I was mad at us, and I was mad at us the most because we let it happen. We actually are allowing this to happen, and we're basically, in a situation where our infrastructure is so bad that we have to do things like that, that we have to actually put our kids, our future, our bundles of joy through traumatic experiences because the country is not being ran right, and the country is being the country is basically in a position where it does have the natural resources, it does have the means to cultivate things, and it's such a small country that with such a small population, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's doable. But yet, we're having our kids engage in these things. And when I say, again, kids, I mean 6, 7, 8 years old. And it's not just women, little girls who are enduring this. It is also boys too, because these old British women go there and, they want to get their rocks off too. You know what I mean? And so when I read this article, I kept on reading and stuff like that, and I don't know what to say. To be honest, it's really messed up, because it's this is going on in the Gambia, in other places in West Africa, and then we got still slavery in Libya, and that's the thing. I'm not into politics, you know what I mean? I'm just into grassroots doing things. like my vision for Africa as an African, is basically that we need to advance ourselves and not necessarily play like keep up, not necessarily do that trying to catch up to the quote unquote modern world, but we need to create our own world using the tools of the modern world. That's how I look at that, you know what I mean? Because like if we just try to play keep up with the modern world, we'll pretty much like end up just, you know, never really serving the immediate needs of the population. And so, the president of the Gambia really needs to check this. He really needs to, like, not let something like this happen. Because, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. Really imagine if the shoe was on the foot of, and we, and like Africans, like, went to, like, let's say these places and started doing that ourselves. Like, imagine that. Do you know how much backlash there would be for doing something like that against us? Do you know how much, like, I mean, our heads would be in our heads would be in a grinder if we allow something like that. If we partook in something like that in Europe, like, from my experiences and from just growing, like, being like part of the community of like immigrants in Europe. I mean, the most you will find in like among African immigrants in Europe is like, yes, they do get involved in some like pushing drugs, of course. Yes, they do get involved in, of course, 419, but it's not necessarily Africans all the time with 419 scamming. Yes, they do get involved in like I want to say like stealing, stuff like that. And yes, they do get involved in prostitution. And I'm not saying that prostitution is right or anything like that, but the girls that are involved in the prostitution are of age. They're not little kids who haven't seen who don't even have their full brains developed yet. So, the main blame is definitely the leadership of the Gambia and the fact that this leadership is not meeting the exact needs of the people. But the other blame is definitely the Europeans who are coming over to get their rocks off. Because if there wasn't a demand for this, then that's that wouldn't take place. And so what this tells me, basically, as I've been saying, I've talked to many like of my African friends. We've sat at round tables talking about this, and the bottom line is we're still colonized, just not on paper. Because as I read the book Famine, The Wretched of the Earth, it breaks all of this down. It breaks this whole cycle down, about what we're going through as Africans. I mean, this book is an old book, mind you, but what he says resonates right now. It resonates with what takes place in Africa. Like, we want to be, one characteristic about being a colonized people is that you want to be your colonizer, and you want to take on things that he takes on, like the language and like other things, and that includes their sexual like culture. you know. And so this is what happens. And, you know, this is for another video, but basically, like when you're mad and upset at your condition because you don't have like the means to change your condition on a material level, because of the simple fact that you I want to say that you are you don't have like a big machine behind you, so you get mad, and then that anger just goes towards like basically just goes towards I want to say your own people, you know what I mean? And so that's what happens, you know. But and then again, like as I said, like, and I've said it many of times before, that like I don't have nothing against people who swirl. I really don't have anything like bad to say about people who swirl, but I do have my opinion of it, and my opinion is like based on this bit of news, that, you know, for the most part we're looked at as objects and not as human beings, you know, and by the, you know, other races. And so that's why I couldn't like really push myself to do it, you know. But that doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you like say, like, you know me, I have a preference for like African women, be it African from the continent, be it African from Latin America, be it African from the Caribbean, or African from the Arab world, whatever, wherever, you know, there is. But it doesn't necessarily mean I have to like be disrespectful of a woman who's like European descent. It can just be hi, bye, and that's it. Yes, please, no, please. Have a great day. It can just be like that, you know? And so with this situation, like, I don't know what to say anymore, because it's like I can't change it, you know, right now. I don't know how I can really change it. I mean, what do y'all think? Like, what kind of things can be done to change this situation? And the thing is, I think a lot has to do with, I think it's like a British like travel conglomerate, Thomas Cook, I think. Thomas Cook, I think it went down. Like, it went down very, very much. So since it went down very much, it created like a vacuum that, you know, these tourists couldn't get like their packages or something like that. So, you know, they just try to make the best of it by, you know, trying to do other stuff. That's what Thomas Cook or whatever definitely wouldn't. At least I don't think they would allow something like this to take place. But, you know, anyhow, you know, this is I'm just doing this video. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments on the video, and I'll be back with you with some boxing, you know, in the next video. Cool, signing out. Enjoy.